Well, here we are again today, folks. I'm in my wife's flower garden again. This is the second of two series about what kind of flower are you? Are you a flower that needs a lot of attention? Are you a flower that is gala and pretty? Are you a flower that smells good? Are you a flower that stinks? Are you a flower that can stand up against a high wind, or can be flourishing, be anywhere? Somebody can pick you out wherever you are. What color? Are you a rose? If you're a rose, what color rose are you? What kind of rose are you if you're a rose? There are different kinds of roses. There are roses 5 feet tall. There are roses that are short. There are different kinds of roses. Let me read you out of my wife's little rose book, something I was looking at, and people say to me, they say, Brother Peter, you attribute everything to something spiritual. Well, I do. I think God put every single thing in the world to make something spiritual out of it, and I think God's flowers have a spiritual meaning to them, every one of them. It said overall, there are from compact to swirling, there are single or double. When you appear to somebody, they look at you. Do you appear like a double rose, or do you appear like a single rose? Do you appear like a healthy rose, a rose with health? I'm a spiritual rose. I'm supposed to be a spiritual rose in a worldly garden that flourishes, though, and that flourishes in the kingdom of God. There are sizes from 2.5 feet tall to 5 feet tall. The bloom time, not all repeat themselves, but we are to bloom. We are to bloom over and over and over again in our Christian life, and we are to maintain those blooms for a period of time, and to stay there. And there are from 3 to 10 varieties of the 8 different roses. And if you're a botanist or somebody in the flower garden and the flower business, you're going to understand these next few things that I'm going to write. There are some very unusual shades. Are you an unusual shade of a Christian? Are you an unusual shade of a rose? Do people look at you and say, man, what color are you? I'm going to read something about colors in a few minutes. And there's a color that I would like to be. And matter of fact, it's about the last color that's on here. But the first one is Elba Middleland. That's a white rose. Now that's what Jesus was. He's a rose of Sharon. He was a pure white, clean rose, the rose of Sharon. Jesus was. And we're to be like him. So we need to be like the rose of Sharon. And then there's the amethyst, which is apricot or yellow. Well, you know, apricot roses are pretty and yellow roses are pretty, and they have their effect, and they're in the garden, and they're there for a purpose, and somebody developed those. And you can look at that kind of like a Christian at different parts of their life, at different points in their life, different types of Christians. There are different types of Christians. There are different types of people on this earth. And there are different types of Christians. And I love this one, all that jazz. All of these roses, they jazz. They have jazz. You know, if I was in the secular world and I was going to listen to secular music, jazz is what I'd listen to. It has an upbeat to it, and it has something that moves you around so that you can feel it. And then there's the Banaka, the pink rose, the Banaka rose, a pink rose, a rose like a lady, a rose that shines in her spot. Like my wife, she's like a pink rose. Everywhere she goes, people knows. There's a lady that loves the Lord. There's a lady that loves children. There's a lady that you can tell is a Christian lady. She looks like a lady, she acts like a lady, and she is a lady. And there's a difference between just a woman and a lady. A lot of difference now. And I can see our time's coming and going quick. And then there's coffee, carefree, delight. That's pink and a pink blend. That's a pretty rose. It's a light pink and a pink blend, like a young lady. A young lady is a bright pink rose, for instance. And if she's in the church and she dresses like a lady and she acts like a lady and she's devoted herself to going to follow God and be good and do what's right in her life, and not flaunt herself, and not go out here and dress like a harlot and act like a harlot and do things like a harlot. But she's going to follow God, and you can see a nice young pink rose there, and then there's the flower carpet of red, pink, and white, like a group of ladies in a lady meeting, red, pink, and white, or a group of men in a brand new Bible study in a small meeting, and they're at different stages of their life, and they're growing and whatever, and then there's the Gertrude, the Jekyll, which is a pink too, but it has golden wings of yellow around it. Wings of yellow around it. Are you growing in the Lord? Are your wings growing out? Are you getting to be where you're different colors, where you can really look like something? You say, Brother Peter, you're crazy as a bed bug. You get out here and you relate everything to the Bible and everything to God. Well, everything I see relates to God. Everything I see. My wife planted these flowers, but God's the one made them grow. And the seed got planted into me by somebody else saying, Mr. Peter, if you died right now, would you go to heaven or hell? Well, at that point in life, I would have gone to hell. And they said, well, let me change that for you. Let me show you how to do that. Realize you're a sinner. Say, God, forgive me of my sin, commit my heart, and save my soul. Now, I changed from that flower that looked good in the world but stunk to a flower that not only looked good but smelled good. And that's what I like to believe. There's a guy, Henry Kistler, was a rose developer, developed a red rose, and this red rose is a color of its own. It's a color that's right by itself. Now I tell you what, in the church today, God has some roses that are right by themselves. I made a little thing, a tribute to Adrian Rogers not long ago, and put it on the internet here, and you can find it. But Adrian Rogers was a bright red rose developed by God right by himself. He was the color he was. There's no other roses out there the exact color that man was. That man was a color that shone up. You could look for 100 miles away, spiritually speaking now, and listen to that man and tell he was a rose of his own color. And he was a flourishing rose. And he was a man that had roots that went through the whole Bible. It went from cover to cover, from Genesis to Revelation. He had his roots stuck in every word, every verse, every place in that Bible. And that Bible was the root for that rose, Brother Adrian Rogers. He was a rose of roses. And then we got heritage pink. We got a heritage pink. Heritage means that came from a heritage of roses that are predominantly pink. And these are pink type roses. And then we got the rose I'd like to be, a knockout red. If I could uncover right here behind me is my motorcycle. And my motorcycle, I ride a Honda Aspencade, and it's red. I mean, it is red. It is knockout red. You can put it with a group of 500 bikes, and when it comes, you can see it sticking out of the black. Here I am in my Honda riding with 30 black Harleys, and boy, you can see that red bike, even though it's not a Harley, and you can see it. You can tell it's a different kind of bike because of the way it's built and shaped, and the weight of it, and the size of it, and the color of it. And then there's a Mary Rose. Mary Rose is a pink rose, but very merry. A very merry rose. Are you a very merry rose, or are you one of them stinking flowers? If you're going to be a rose with a good root. If you're going to have a good root, get your root in the Bible. Get your Strong's Concordance, like I started this excerpt with this morning a couple of minutes ago, and stay in it, follow through in it, stick with it. If you want to get on a good station, get on WOAK.com, LaGrange, and get fed with some good, fertile soil.